Hey guys, YouTuber Nerd here. Alright, now here I am with another review of a live action movie based on a cartoon. And next up for my next review, now here I am with a review for Garfield. Oh man. Oh boy, what can I really say about this movie? Just what is there to say? Everybody really knows about this movie. This movie once again, it's awful. And seriously, just like, what went wrong with this movie? And seriously, how can they really like mess this up? Yeah, of course, like Garfield is really just like a very timeless character. Like Garfield has really become like a part of pop culture in the cartoon world. Like Garfield really is like kind of like up there with like a lot of like Disney characters and Warner Brothers characters, and yeah, he really is just like a very iconic cartoon character, and yet they just totally ignore what made him so great, and they give us this. Seriously, this film is just so freaking bad. Seriously, this movie, just it pretty much does suffer from pretty much the same problems as like a Scooby Doo and Inspector Gadget and like all these other, a lot of these other movies. It really like fails at basically everything. Seriously, like it just like has little to nothing in in common with the cartoons. Like seriously, it's just awful. They screw up absolutely everything in this movie. Seriously, it's not really like Garfield was really that complicated. Like, this should be like so easy to get right, and yet they just screw it all up in this movie. Just seriously, like, were they even trying when they made this movie? Like, seriously, did they actually watch any of the cartoons? Did they even read the comics? Like, seriously, just this film just it's absolutely nothing like Garfield. Like, all it really has in common with like the old like cartoons and everything is that it has the characters' names. That's it. Like seriously, like this film just it does absolutely nothing right, and it's just so freaking bad. So I really don't know like what they were thinking when they made this movie. It's like they didn't even like pay attention to the cartoons or anything. They just saw, oh, that's Garfield, that's Odie, that's John, and everybody else that from the cartoons. Let's just like write them in and let's make a movie about it. And yeah, and that's really like basically how it feels. Because just as you're watching this movie, you don't even see like the real Garfield and all the other characters or from the cartoon. Like you are just seeing like totally different and people and animals in this movie. So yeah, this movie just it just fails at absolutely everything. So yeah, this movie just is awful. Now, as far as the Garfield cartoon goes, like Ninja Turtles, Garfield was like technically a comic strip first. Garfield was originally like a comic strip in the paper, but yeah, Garfield is also identified as a cartoon. So yeah, a lot of so yeah, people will like consider Garfield as a cartoon character as well. Yeah, and I remember like the Garfield cartoon from like the '90s, it started in the '80s and like continue on in the '90s. Like I remember like when I was really little, I did watch like Garfield cartoons, and I liked them. I'm fine. Like I really haven't like watched like a lot of the Garfield cartoons in a very long time, but yeah, I do like remember like the characters, and yeah, and you may remember like a few years ago I did review like the Garfield Christmas special. Yeah, so yeah, I do like Garfield. Like Garfield really was just like a really great character. Yeah, and I've shown you guys before how I've like drawn like some sketches of cartoon characters. I've also like drawn a sketch of Garfield. Look at this. Yeah. So yeah. So Garfield really is like a really iconic character. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah. And the premise of Garfield really is just how Garfield is of course a cat, and he's kind of like got like a voice, but yeah, he like only like animals like interact with him. Like it's kind of similar to like Homeward Bound, how like humans actually don't like understand Garfield talking. Yeah, it really is just like among other animals. Yeah. Yeah, so Garfield is really like like has a voice and he's able to talk to other animals. And yeah, and usually like in comic strips, Garfield and Odie, he would are like living with their owner John. And yeah, and usually like Garfield would like annoy John and often cause disasters for John. Yeah, and just yeah. So this really should just be like so easy to get right in a movie, but yet this movie just it fails at absolutely everything. Like seriously, like just like the characters just look awful. Like the characters look absolutely nothing like in the cartoon. Like Garfield in this movie, he just looks absolutely awful. Like this, the CG they got for Garfield is like absolutely awful, and it doesn't even look like Garfield. I remember when I watched the cartoons. I when I was little, I used to think that Garfield was like a tiger because yeah, the way he just how he's like an orange cat and he's got like black stripes that really does like kind of make him look like a tiger. So I remember like when I was a little kid, I did like think Garfield was a tiger. Yeah, but yeah, in this movie, Garfield doesn't even look anything like he does in the cartoons. Like Garfield just kind of looks like a very fat and chubby puss in boots in this movie. So yeah, they just like messed up Garfield very bad in this movie. Yeah, and yeah, and all the other characters from the cartoons that they got that they have in this movie, just yeah, they look so terrible. They look nothing like the cartoon. Like you just name it. Like yeah, I mean Garfield, Odie, John, Liz, Nermal, like the list goes on. Like just they look absolutely nothing like how they did in the cartoon. So yeah, this really just really does go down the same path like the Super Mario Brothers movie did. How just nobody even looks like how they're supposed to. So yeah, why did they screw that up? So it just is like so awful. Yeah, and plus, yeah, and also like just the characters are just absolutely like they're awful. Like just all the characters in this movie just they're written terribly and they're just so forgettable. And yeah, and even like the John and Liz in this movie, they have like zero chemistry and they don't even get their personalities right. Like seriously, like for one thing, like in this movie, John is played by Breckin Mayer and Liz is played by Jennifer Love Hewitt. Just I mean, seriously, like these two are not like bad actors by any means, but yeah, they are just like yeah, they were just like the absolute wrong choices for John and Liz in this movie because their personalities are just like so wrong, and plus they're just too good looking for these roles. So it's very similar to like what I was talking about with like Mystery Inc. and Scooby Doo movies. How just they're too good looking for the roles. It's the same case here with John and Liz. But yeah, at least in the Scooby Doo movies, that they did at least get like the characters' personalities right. They did make them like they did like get their like the way they act right. Yeah, but here they don't even get that right because they're just like absolute their personalities are absolutely nothing like how they were in the cartoons because yeah in the comics John yeah in the cartoons and the comics John was just like a pretty much just a doofus and a loser and really didn't have much lady luck and yeah he was really just like kind of a loner yeah and Liz was just like just like a smart mouth and just like kind of like very like quiet, not really like having like a lot of like interest for John. Well, at least she didn't let on a lot of interest. So yeah, but here like they're friends and they just like yeah they're always like talking to each other and they just really are not like how they are in the cartoons. Like they just really seem like normal people and even like the chemistry between the two of them in this movie, like they've got like nothing. They have no chemistry. So yeah, the stuff between John and Liz in this movie, it's just like wasted. Like there's like nothing between them in this movie. Like they just have no chemistry. Yeah, yeah. And in this movie, Garfield is voiced by Bill Murray. Yeah, and yeah, like and Nostalgia Critic like said in his review how it it was kind of fitting that for Bill Murray to voice Garfield because yeah he did like Bill Murray is now like a succeeding Lorenzo Music as the voice of Garfield, which is does kind of make sense with like Lorenzo Music like taking over for Bill Murray as Peter in Ghostbusters. Yeah, so it was kind of like fitting for it. But yeah, the only reason that Bill Murray actually did like agree to voice Garfield is because he mistook the writer for one of the Coen brothers. So yeah, yeah. So it was pretty much just a case of mistaken identity why Bill Murray signed on to this movie. And yeah, and Bill Murray, like, he's even, like, expressed regret in doing this. So, yeah. And like I said, pretty much like everyone else in this movie is looks awful too. Like Odie looks nothing like the cartoon. Well, like seriously, like, and it doesn't make sense because like Garfield is like CGI in this movie, but yet it seems like all the other animals in this movie, with like whether it's like cats or dogs, like seems they use like real dogs and cats in this movie, but yet like just Odie doesn't even look anything like the cartoon, and plus they don't even have like the right kind of dog to be Odie in this movie. Like, is it really that hard? Like they couldn't have gotten like a, a like a different breed of dog that actually looks like Odie to play Odie in this movie, yet they get like this just dog that looks absolutely nothing like Odie, and the dog is pretty ugly in this movie. So yeah, so just the wrong choice for Odie, and yeah, and the list can just go on and on of like just like how none of the characters look like how they did originally in the cartoons. So yeah, it really does feel like that. And plus, yeah, the story for this movie just yeah, it has just a bunch of like useless stuff that really doesn't go anywhere. And plus, the story is really generic. All the story really is just how it shows how like Garfield like is lazy and yeah, is kind of like annoying to John and just like just really like just always like giving John some grief and everything, and then like yeah, John then eventually does like adopt Odie, and Garfield like doesn't like it, like he doesn't like Odie, so he really just tries to really distance himself from Odie. But then then eventually then Garfield then just he like takes Odie for granted and everything, and then eventually then Odie ends up running away after Garfield locks him out of the house, and then John then finds out that Odie's missing, so he looks for him, and then everybody turns against Garfield, and Garfield goes out to find Odie, and blah blah blah. Yeah, you know the story. Yeah, so really just like a very generic standard story, and yeah, and a lot of scenes just they they contribute nothing to it. So yeah, so this movie really is just like absolutely useless. Yeah, and as well as the movie is just like filled with awful product placements, like just pretty much like in every single shot of the movie, like you see product placement, like for like whether it's businesses or brands or whatever the case may be. Just yeah, pretty much in every scene you see like a whole bunch of like product placements throughout the entire movie. Yeah, this the product placement in this movie is even worse than Man of Steel, because Man of Steel did have some pretty bad product placements, but yeah, this one's even worse. So Nostalgia Critic really did talk about like all the problems this movie does have in his review for it. So I really don't want to like repeat everything that he says, but yeah, what he says in the movie about this movie is true. Just like it has nothing that like actually didn't does make Garfield like such an iconic character, and yeah, it just really doesn't resemble Garfield at all. So yeah, so this movie is just like so bad, and it's not even like it was even that complicated to get right. So yeah, so it really did seem like even the Inspector Gadget movie did have more effort put into it than this. So yeah, I just really don't even know what else to say about it. Just it's just bad, and it's like they weren't even trying with this movie. So yeah, so it really is just like such a bad movie, and yeah, it this just really is just this has nothing to do with what made Garfield such an iconic character. So yeah, so I definitely do not recommend this movie. So I give it like a I don't even know. I guess I would give it like a 1.25 stars out of 4. Like it is just a very bad movie. All right. So yeah, so I think I've gone on enough about this. So yeah, I guess I'll just talk about the premise of the movie. So yeah, so the movie opens up showing how Garfield is like very like just lazy and everything, and then it shows how like he really does like annoy John and antagonize him and everything. Yeah. Then then one day as John like brought Garfield to um vet Liz. It shows, of course, how John is in love with Liz, but yeah, he doesn't have like the he doesn't have the balls to actually ask Liz out on a date. Yeah. Then after like a misunderstanding conversation, then uh, Liz then gives John Odie, and then then like I said, Garfield really doesn't like Odie, and then always poking fun at Odie. Yeah, yeah. Then one day, like after like a Garfield and Odie like had this dance off to the Black Eyed Peas song "Hey Mama." Then John then went out with Liz to a dog show which she was judging and brought Odie along, but he wasn't actually planning on having Odie be in the dog show, so why did he even bring him along? Yeah. Garfield then followed. Followed, yeah. Yeah, but then and, as Garfield old, then I tried to follow John and Liz to the dog show. Then uh, and Garfield then ended up getting involved in an altercation with other dogs, and the dogs then chased after Garfield. But then, yeah, then as the "Hey Mama" song played at the dog show, then Odie then ran to the center of the ring and then did the dance again, and then yeah, then they declared Odie the winner of the dog show. Yeah, but it showed there that there was a television host, Happy Chapman, there, and was really impressed with Odie's performance and wanted to strike up a television deal with John, but John declined. Yeah, Happy Chapman's like the antagonist for this movie. Like he um shows that he is advertising the some cat food, but he's allergic to cats, and so he wants a dog uh, for his act to perform uh, his on a Good Day New York, or to outdo his brother Walter, who's a news reporter. Yeah, yeah, and I'll get back to this in a minute. Yeah, yeah. Then when Garfield got home, like uh, just due to his frustration with Odie, Garfield ended up hitting a ball and just ended up accidentally making a mess in the house. And then when John went inside and just saw the mess, then he just put Garfield outside for the night, which was a pretty stupid thing to do because Garfield doesn't even have a collar, and it's real dangerous to put a pet out at night like that. So John is a really bad pet owner in this movie. Yeah. And then after some forgettable dumb musical number, Odie came outside to try to be comfort Garfield, but then Garfield then just went inside and locked Odie out. Yeah, yeah, and it showed how Normal and Arlene saw it, and then Odie then ran away and got lost, but then he got picked up by an older woman named Mrs. Baker. Yeah. Then the next morning, when John figured found that Odie was gone, John and Liz went out to look for Odie. And then it showed how normal uh and Arlene just really ridiculed Garfield for locking Odie out. And Garfield really just like said that he didn't mean for Odie to run away. Yeah. Then then Garfield then decided that he had to go find Odie. Yeah. Then Chapman then saw that there were posters for Odie being found. So then Odie then Chapman and then and went to Mrs. Baker's and then claimed Odie as his own. So then Odie was given to Chapman. Yeah. Then Garfield will then after finding out that Chapman was going planning to take Odie to New York, then Garfield then and went out to rescue Odie, as I said. Yeah. Then John eventually ended up discovering that Garfield was gone too. Who? So then, John and Liz then went out to search for both Garfield and Odie. Yeah. Then Garfield then eventually was able to get to who Chapman's broadcast tower. Yeah, and he eventually was able to find Odie, but Chapman then entered before Garfield could free Odie, and then it was shown how Chapman was planning to use a shock collar on Odie, and it showed that when the shock collar was activated, it released an electrical shock and would have Odie perform certain tricks. Yeah, and then as the Chapman headed for the train station, then Garfield then like followed, but Garfield ended up getting caught by animal control and ended up being taken to the pound, being mistaken for a stray because he didn't have a collar. Nice going, John. Yeah. Then John and Liz then eventually did find one of Mrs. Baker's dog flyers as well. Yeah, and when they went and over to her house to try to get Odie, she then like I said that Odie had been given to Chapman. So then John and Liz then believed that since Odie you got taken by Chapman, they thought that Garfield was as well. So then, after they found out that Chapman was headed for the train station, then they went and to try to uh, get Odie and Garfield back too. Then when Garfield was taken to the pound, then like Chapman's abandoned a cat star, which is dubs himself Sir Roland, along with other animals for the pound, helped Garfield escape to save Odie. Yeah. So then, Garfield was able to get to the train station just as a Chapman's train was taking off. Then Garfield then snuck into the system control room and was able to get the train to return back to the station. Then Garfield then was able to free Odie, and then as they were escaping, then Chapman then discovered it and chased them into a suitcase area. Yeah, and then as Chapman was then had Garfield and Odie cornered, as he was about to take Odie back, then all the animals from the pound and then Garfield's other friends then and arrived, and then they attacked Chapman and ended up placing the shock collar on his neck, and then Garfield and Odie then activated the shock collar and subdued Chapman with it, and then John and Liz then arrived, and then they found Chapman with Garfield and Odie, and then John punched Chapman in the face for kidnapping them, and then Garfield and Odie reunited with John and Liz. Chapman was arrested, and then they all returned home, and then Garfield's friends respected him and hailed him as a hero, and it showed John and Liz now forming a relationship together, and and they were all together as friends, and all that stuff. So this movie just is really, really bad. Like I said, it really just is such a poor adaptation of Garfield. It really doesn't have anything that made Garfield so iconic, and nobody looks the part, or nobody acts the part. The effects are awful, bunch of useless scenes. So this was really just a very piss poor adaptation of Garfield, and I don't really even see how it could be this bad. Like I said, it's really not that complicated to do, but yet it's like they weren't even trying when they did this. So I really don't know who's to blame. I don't know if it's the writer, the studio, the executives. I really just I don't know who's to blame for this, but whoever it is, just they did an awful job at this movie. And like I said, even Bill Murray, he even has expressed regret in taking this role. So so if even the actor who plays Garfield in the movie has regrets, are you really even gonna try to defend it to say it's good? So yeah, so I just really don't know what else to say about it. It's just a bad movie and not worth checking out. So like I said, I give the film just 1.25 stars out of 4. Just it had no effort put into it. So if you haven't seen it before, just don't. Just stick to the comic strips and the cartoons. But don't watch this movie because this won't provide you with anything that makes Garfield so iconic. So alright, so I guess that's all I can really say about it. Alright, so this is it for my review of Garfield. Hope you guys enjoyed, and surprisingly, this film did spawn a sequel, so I'll be talking about that next. I have never actually seen it before, but we'll see how that one turns out. All right, so stay tuned for my review of the Garfield sequel coming up next. But I hope you guys enjoyed this review, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.